Top 10 Big Machines That Changed the World in Big Ways. Many inventions have occurred throughout human history. They contribute to a better world and make life easier for us. Some of these leaps ahead are enormous, both in terms of size and historical significance. From the wheel and axle to the quantum computer, these are the top 10 mega machines that contributed to the development of our world today. Model T, 1908. The first Model Ts were completed on September 27, 1908. The Model T revolutionized Americans' connection with automobiles, despite the fact that Henry Ford's invention wasn't the first. Ford introduced assembly line production to automobiles after observing the efficiency of Chicago's meat packing plants. In his Detroit plants, he had developed this continuous, moving chain of manufacturing by 1914. This innovation reduced the amount of time and money it took to produce an automobile, allowing Ford to lower the price and making the Tin Lizzie more affordable to the average American. Model Ts accounted for half of all automobiles on the road by 1923. The automobile itself was a game changer. It was the classic and first of its kind utility car with 4 cylinders and 20 horsepower. The Model T is without a doubt the most important automobile in history. ENIAC, 1946. If you're reading this, you're almost certainly sitting in front of a computer. The Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer, or ENIAC, was the size of an entire room, even though a computer today could be carried easily. ENIAC weighed 80 tons and took up 1,800 square feet when it was built to solve big numerical problems. It would become the great-great-grandfather of the machines that made contemporary civilization possible, having been recognized as one of the world's first modern computers. Not to mention the ancients had their own intriguing computing machines, after all. It was also one of the first data centers ever built, a technology that is now used in practically every business on the planet. First electrical air conditioner, 1902. Willis Carrier, a 25-year-old mechanical engineer from western New York, was tasked in 1902 with solving an apparently impossible problem: prevent the summer humidity from wrinkling magazine pages at a Brooklyn publishing firm. With his creation of an apparatus for treating air, largely regarded as the first modern electrical air conditioner. It functioned pretty much the same way as modern air conditioning, moving air through a filter and then through coolant-filled coils. This seemingly specialized invention resulted in a huge shift in population, transforming once insufferably hot cities into mechanically cooled industrial meccas. However, all of that chilly air could be warming the Earth, with particular air conditioner pollution now being recognized as a contributor to global warming on a regular basis. Predator drone, 1994. The RQ-1 Predator drone was conceived in the 1980s, but it didn't have a test fly in the Mojave Desert until 1994. Since then, the drone has become further integrated into the U.S. military, forever changing the way people fight battles. The MQ designation, which stands for multi-role, was given to the drone in 2002 to designate its armed capabilities beyond passive reconnaissance. This is one of the first instances that machines have been used to fight in wars in place of humans. Critics claim that inaccurate intelligence causes innocent deaths and collateral damage, while supporters claim that drones are far more accurate than conventional artillery weaponry, which have an average miss distance of 800 feet. Off the battlefield, however, the Predator drone set a high bar for what other types of unmanned aerial bots may accomplish, with some experts claiming that it was responsible for igniting our current fascination with drones, whether for package delivery or as a new favorite sport. The Predator's impact on our lives has yet to be completely appreciated in many respects. Quantum computing, 1981. Quantum computing, like flying cars, was deemed a 20 years to never technology by scientists and experts. However, there has been a shift in the way people think about quantum computing. It's now not just regarded feasible, with some of the world's largest corporations devoting significant money to its development. In 1982, Richard Feynman, a well-known American physicist, suggested the concept of a quantum computer for the first time. Using superposition theory, which asserts that an atom can exist in two states at the same time, humans could hypothetically build a computer that is far more powerful than anything previously envisioned. A computer like this might perform calculations that a classical computer would take millennia to complete. Every aspect of society would be dramatically altered by such a gadget. Companies and universities are breaking tremendous ground in quantum computing research as recently as this week, bringing us one step closer to a technology unlike any other. V-2 rocket, 1942. The space race began in 1942, with the Nazis' V-2 rocket, not with the launch of Sputnik in 1957 or Alan Shepard's orbit in 1961. The V-2, or Vengeance Weapon 2, was the creation of German rocket scientist Wernher von Braun and was unlike anything the world had ever seen. It was the first large-scale, guided missile, propelled by liquid oxygen and alcohol. It could ascend 6 miles into the air, have a range of approximately 200 miles, and carry a ton of warhead payload when launched. Von Braun surrendered to American soldiers at the end of the war. For the next 3 decades, the controversial scientist put his knowledge to good use for the United States, becoming a key member of NASA and contributing to the development of the Saturn V rocket, which would eventually land a man on the moon. Wind turbine, 1888. Although Scottish engineer James Blyth may have been the first to build an electricity-generating wind turbine, it was Cleveland mansion owner Charles Brush who made it practical in 1888 when he built an automatic power-generating wind turbine in his backyard. It was 50 feet in diameter and had 144 cedar wood rotor blades, producing around 1,200 watts of power, enough to run 100 incandescent lights in Brush's house. According to the American Wind Energy Association, the United States already has approximately 52,000 wind turbines that could theoretically power 25 million households. Is wind energy the wave of the future? The Department of Energy believes so, forecasting that wind will provide 35% of America's power by 2050. SS Great Eastern, 1866. After numerous failed attempts, the massive converted steamliner Great Eastern eventually completed the first permanent transatlantic telegraph cable in July of 1866, permanently connecting the globe in continual communication. The ship was the largest ever built at the time, making it the obvious choice for transporting, dragging, and laying the massive telegraph cable comprised of copper, latex, hemp, and steel across the ocean. In fact, personnel spent 5 months just loading the cable onto the ship because it was so lengthy and heavy. The first telegraph messages sent over the underwater cables were from President Andrew Johnson to Queen Victoria of England, who both expressed hope that the cable would become an unbroken link between the two countries. Gutenberg's printing press, 1440. In 1450, a decade after its launch, Johannes Gutenberg's printing press commenced manufacturing in modern-day Mainz, Germany. The printing press transformed the bookmaking process. Previously, scribes and monks had to hand-rewrite entire texts. The printing press, on the other hand, substantially decreased the cost of books, made education more accessible to millions, ushered in the Renaissance, and permitted the birth of newspapers and journals, which are essential components of entire political systems. The significance of Gutenberg and his press cannot be overstated. Interplanetary spacecraft in the future. The story never ends with world-changing monster machines, and what could be more world-changing than a machine that allows you to transform worlds? No, this doesn't exist yet. We still have decades to go, maybe less, who knows? But with rockets like the new Falcon Heavy, the BFR, and NASA's SLS spaceship, a machine that finally transforms humanity into an interplanetary species appears to be less of an if and more of a when.